All right, guys. Today's lunch and learn is talking to investors. So I actually have made a pretty big shift lately in the clients that I'm serving, and it came out of necessity. I'm not saying everybody needs to do this. Different strokes for different folks. But what's happened in my personal business lately is I have kind of stopped taking on new clients. Not necessarily anybody that's new, but I've stopped working with retail clients. I've stopped really selling to people that are going to be buying the house for them to live in. It's not that I'm completely off of it. If I have friends or family or anybody like that that comes in that wants, to help me, it's like, hey, my mom just sent me some guy she works with that's, is buying his first house. Yeah, absolutely. I'll help out on that. But I don't want to market to that anymore because I get a little frustrated with it. I don't like, it's just not my personality type to walk around and go, oh my god, look at these plantation shutters, and can't you just imagine having a dinner party here? Like, that's not really what it is. So as of most of y'all know, that white line was actually created out of necessity because Eric and I were both investors, and because we were both investors, it made it very hard to work with realtors. Eric went and got his license way before I did, and became a broker, and he's sitting on this broker's license so he could do his own stuff. I said, well, let's just open this up and allow people to invest, either buy through us or allow our agents to invest. And so we were just talking about that. I've got two people on here, Israel and Bernice, who are both active investors. And we love that here at White Line. And because I do so much investing, that's kind of where my head gets. I walk into a house, I don't really care if I like it. I'm looking for foundation issues, water damage. I'm going around, mentally calculating what it would take for me to get this property up to either a flip value or rent value. And that's the game I like to play. So I've been doing a lot more marketing to investors, and I've been dealing with a lot more investor clients. And what's nice about this is it's got my head solely thinking about investments all day, every day. So when I get the MLS listings and I'm digging through everything, I'm plowing through every single solitary listing to see if I like it, to see if it works, to see how it works. And then once I see that it does work in some facet, which I'm going to explain in a minute, then I can push it out to my clients. I love working with investor clients because typically we close in 2 to 3 weeks versus 30 to 45 days. Typically, they don't just buy one property. As soon as they get done rehabbing one and get it all taken care of, then we move on to the next one. So I'll have one client that'll buy 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 houses a year. So it's really nice because I know who to go to. I know who they want. I find out who's serious, and they tend to keep me really busy. So it doesn't mean that everybody needs to shift. But I wanted to talk a little bit about today about what it's like talking to investors and what you need to think about. Because I know we have a lot of inspiring investors, and then we have some active investors. And for those of y'all that just want to know what all's out there, I kind of wanted to touch base. This was going to be a little bit raw, and I wanted to leave questions open for what it means to talk to an investor and how it goes about. So first and foremost, whenever I speak to an investor client, the very first thing I want to see, so step number one, because it doesn't do us any good, is I need proof of funds or a pre-approval. Okay. Real quick, Bernice, how do y'all buy y'all's properties? Do you pay cash? Do you use hard money? What do you do with them?
It depends. So we use a small town bank a lot, and actually to do our down payment, we use private money. So we
Gotcha.
actually put zero money of our own into the property.
I like that. I like that. Israel, how have you done it? I know you said you had some sub twos, right? Which I'm going to cover in just a second. But what else do you?
I did just
How,
traditional and then obviously sub twos.
okay. So I'm going to come to sub twos at the end, okay? Because that is a very unique thing. And I'm sorry this handwriting's so bad. It's because I'm trying to do it while it's standing upright. But so, guys, you do need proof of funds or a pre-approval letter. Yes, hard money guys will give pre-approval letters. You're going to want to see that. Now, whenever you fill out a contract with hard money, you're going to fill it in as cash. It's not necessarily going to need a third-party financing addendum. So, but you are going to want that pre-approval letter. And usually it's pretty cut and dry. It's usually just one page, just like every other pre-approval. Or you're going to need proof of funds. So proof of funds actually can come in a couple different ways. Bernice says that she uses private money, which I think is great. I've been using more and more private money lately to really scale. And what you can get from them is you can either get a copy of their bank statement, but you're going to want to have it accompanied with a letter that says, we are going to back Bernice up to, you know, $1.2 million. Here's proof of funds of 3 million, or whatever it might be. That's really big numbers, but some of y'all know what's going on. So just like a regular client, guys, you're going to want to make sure you have this in order before you ever talk to them, before you ever start looking for properties, because investment properties go even faster than traditional real estate. If there's a good investment property, guys, I mean, I've seen them be on the market for less than 3 hours, and then boom, it's snatched up. So that's really, really important when you're dealing with investor clients, because if you're going to send in an offer, you need to be ready to send it, and you need to have this ready to go. What I actually keep on my desktop is I have a little folder, and it'll have the client's name on it. And I leave that in this folder. Whatever it is, I leave in this folder. And it just stays on my desktop at all time, but it's only my serious clients, the guys that I know will pull a trigger and pull it fast. The rest of them I'll save somewhere. I usually have a bigger folder that has all my other guys in there, but the ones that I know will buy quickly, I want to see those readily available, because I do have to move quick. Okay. So the first thing is, hey, you're an investor. Wonderful. Do you got proof of funds or some sort of pre-approval? Sub 2, guys, that falls into what we call creative financing, which I could do a whole nother video on that. For the most part, if you've never done a sub 2, you need somebody to hold your hand very carefully, and you need to engage a lawyer. We will talk more about sub 2s later. I'm going to touch on it, but this is going to fall into what we call creative financing. Another one that falls into that would also be a sub 2. Owner finance would be another one. And then we also call another one called partial carry. Just real quick, so I don't have any misunderstood words, sub 2 stands for subject to the existing financing. So basically what you do is you take over somebody's mortgage, you leave it in their name, but you deed the house over to you. It comes with a myriad of problems. It's very, very dangerous if your paperwork's not correct. So don't just think, oh my God, that's great, that's what I'll do. No, it's not. It's rot with pitfalls, but you can do it. It's doable. Owner finance is the next one. Needless to say, if you've hung around with Eric or I for the past decade, you know, we talk a lot about owner finance. That's when the owner usually owns the house outright and says, yes, I'll sell it to you, and you make payments to me like the bank. And partial carry, I just did one the other day that was a partial carry, where I actually borrowed hard money, but I left $30,000 as a second lien in the property. The seller was okay with that. So basically I had no money out of pocket because I used hard money to fix everything else. And so it was pretty easy that way. All right. So that's step 1, guys, is you got to get, step 1, you got to get your pre-approval or your proof of funds. Any questions on that before going forward? See, I knew I was a fantastic teacher. All right. Number 2, guys, is you need to know what they're looking for. Okay. What does that mean? Guys, it's just like any other client. So there's a couple of things in there. What's your price? How much cash do you have? Guys, that is a very uncomfortable question, but I ask it of every single one of my people. And if they don't answer me, I do not consider them serious. Anybody who's a serious investor, like I know Bernice is a serious investor. If I ask Bernice, how much cash you got to do this? She's going to tell me a number. She'd be a fool not to. Hey, I got like 50 grand. Okay, cool. Now I know where we're at. With $50,000, most hard money loans need 10% down. So she's probably going to put 25 down on that. She's going to need the other $25,000 to kind of keep the ball moving when it comes to rehab. So right there, if she says she's got $50,000, she's going to be looking in that $25 to $300 or $250,000 to $300,000 range, at least, or less. Right? She could buy 2 of them for 100, and so on and so forth. But that kind of gives me an idea. Some guys tell me, "Yeah, I got $1 million. I got to burn. So let's roll." And that's great, you know, because now I know I can find them a whole bunch of different houses. So you need to know what they're looking for. You need to know price, and then you need to know the style of investing that they're going to be looking for. And guys, style of investing, I can talk about a lot. And that is kind of the point of this call, because the most important thing is you need to know that the different types of investors that are out there. So I want to go through the style that they're looking for, and then I'm going to show you how I look at properties just kind of in general, so you can see how we figured this out. The first style, which is probably the easiest, which I noticed this from a lot of out-of-state investors, is what we call turnkey. Israel, would you mind telling me what a turnkey is? Are you still there? Maybe. I lose him. Oh, you're on mute, Israel. I don't know if you're trying to talk, but I'll spare it. A turnkey, guys, this means it is ready to rent as is. Okay? It is ready to rent as is. So they're going to buy the property, and as soon as they close, the next day they can put up for rent. I actually know a lot of guys that once we're in the closing process, they'll ask me to put a sign out to rent it because it is ready to rent. Turnkeys are the easiest for most out-of-state investors because they don't have to procure contractors to come fix stuff. They don't have to do any of that. They might make some little changes like painting something or whatever it might be, but usually it's ready to rent as is. So that's the first style that a lot of people like to. The second style that a lot of people like to do is they like to use what's called, no, come on. They like to do what's called the BRRRR strategy. Now, I've done other videos on this, but this stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, CE, repeat. Okay, that's the second strategy. I also have a lot of people that like to do the BRRRR strategy, and I'm going to explain why. What I'm looking for there is a property that once I buy it, I can force enough equity by rehabbing it that I'll make the property worth more. Very simple example, guys, is just like a flip. If you buy the property for $100,000, you put $25,000 into it, and all of a sudden it's worth $150,000. That's what you're looking for. That's called forcing equity. I did $25,000 of the work, but I added $50,000 of the value. These right here, guys, do need work. Okay. How much work is going to depend on your client, and you're going to want to talk to them about that. What are you comfortable with? You need to find out if they're comfortable dealing with foundation repairs. Some people that scares the crap out of me, not so much. Does it need a new roof? Is there signs of water damage? You know, those big things can actually add up very quickly. So you need to make sure they understand that. I do not consider a BRRRR something with lipstick rehab. If you've done any kind of investing for any period of time, you've heard that before. A lipstick rehab is something where you come in and you're just doing the easy stuff. Like, I'm going to paint it a different color and I'm going to change the carpets out or something. Usually that is not in a BRRRR, at least not in today's market. It's really hard to find a lipstick rehab that'll work. For more information on what I mean by how to make a BRRRR work, you can go look. I've got some videos on there on YouTube where you can find that. But essentially, you want to be all in for around 75%, meaning my purchase and my rehab, these two numbers need to be over here, need to be less than 75%. Typically is what people are looking for. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So there's two of them, and both of these fall into the rental category. Okay. These are what we call long-term rentals. So that's meaning that they're going to have somebody that has a lease for a year or longer, is what we call long-term rentals. The next one that we were just talking about before we started recording is that Airbnb, VRBO, Furnished Finder, all of which we call short-term rentals. Okay. A short-term rental is technically anything that's less than 1 year. Okay. Some people are looking for those. This has been very hot lately. It's been very trendy. It's kind of starting to fall out of favor, in my opinion. I've heard a lot of people complaining about Airbnb, the fees, all that kind of stuff that have been associated with. But some people are looking for these. The interesting thing about these guys is your numbers can be very different when you're looking at these. You're looking for more of an area and amenities to fill this bucket. So if somebody's looking for one of these, you're looking for area and amenities, meaning if you have a 20-acre ranch out in Lavernia, it's probably not going to be a good Airbnb. Lavernia is a long way away from everything. If it's just 20 acres of flat dirt, I mean, what are you going to do? Yeah, you could have horses or something on there, but now you're going to have additional liability insurance and somebody out there to make sure they don't kill your horses, so on and so forth. Airbnbs tend to be the ones that people are coming into for short periods of time for a purpose. I've seen very successful Airbnbs over by Lackland Air Force Base. They have that's where every single Air Force airman that goes through basic training goes through Lackland. So every single weekend there is a graduation. So people flying from all over the country, they want to stay close to Lackland to go see Miho whenever they graduated, and then they hang out for a few days. They're also very good if you're close to downtown, close to the Pearl area. I'm talking about San Antonio, by the way. If you're close to Fiesta, Texas, SeaWorld, anything like that, they tend to work because people are coming in to go to SeaWorld. People are coming in to do that. You're also going to want a nicer property in a nicer neighborhood. You're not going to want something in the hood because nobody's going to want to have to pack just so they can go take their dog for a walk if they do that. So also, guys, I wanted to point out that sometimes a BRRRR also works for a short-term rental, but we'll talk about that in just a minute. The other one that some people are looking for from out of state, or they're looking for flips. This is probably the least common that I see. I don't see a lot of people looking for flips because most people know that the San Antonio and greater area is more of an appreciation than it is, forcing a lot of equity. Prices are high here right now. People are paying a lot more than they used to, and it's kind of the same all over Texas. So I've seen a lot of people trying to flip in smaller towns. Like if you had that 20-acre ranch in Lavernia, that might be a better fit, where we could really make that house nice, really make the 20 acres nice, and we could sell to somebody for a high price that wants to have something to walk into. For those of y'all that don't know of flips, again, that game is kind of the same. You want to be less than 75% of the ARV or as close to that as you can get. I have not seen a 75% deal in a long time. So a lot of people are kind of letting that sneak up to 80. And I've even seen some people buy at 85%. Once again, as a reminder, guys, that is talking about purchase plus rehab. Purchase plus rehab needs to be 75% or less of the ARV. You're not going to find a lot of those guys right now. If you do, snatch it up. Somebody will buy it. I know everybody's heard the term before. If you find the deal, the money will follow. If you can find a 75% ARV, the money will follow. So those are the main ones that I've seen. Oh, wait, one last one that I forgot about. The last one, which I've actually gotten a lot of lately, is a house hack. Okay. For those of y'all that don't know, a house hack is when somebody buys the property with the intent of them living there while either renting out additional rooms to other people or the additional part of the property. So for example, if I had a duplex and I lived here and I rented this one out to a family, right? And they're paying the rent, this is the way a lot of people get started. This is usually a lot of people's first investment. What's been happening, as I've noticed, is I've been getting a lot of phone calls from military people that are PCSing, which is a permanent change of station, I believe. So they're moving. Like I got a client that's moving from Hawaii to Fort Sam Houston, right? He's gotten permanently changed. That's where he's going to. And he's a single dude. And he's like, hey, man, I need to buy a house. I want to buy a house hack. What's really nice about house hacks and why it's a smart move for most people is because it is technically owner occupied. If it is owner occupied, that is a big deal. It makes lending a lot easier. It makes insurance cheaper, all of that good stuff. So you now become available for an FHA program or a VA program, which most of y'all will remember has 0% down as an option. That's why I get a lot of military people that are doing that. So even if I talk to a military person that just wants to get a single family house, I still talk to them about the benefits of this, because If your entire mortgage for this property is $2,500 and these people are paying you $1,500 a month in rent, you now are paying $1,000 for a house that would have cost you $2,500. So it usually makes a ton of sense for everybody involved. They usually really like it. The only question is, can you share a wall with somebody? By the way, house hacks are good for owner occupied up to 4 units. So you can have a fourplex and you can live in one of them and rent out the other 3. Needless to say, the more you rent out, the more of that mortgage payment you're having other people pay for it. So that's really a nice way to do it. So those are the major ones that I'm seeing people calling and asking me about. I have yet to have anybody ask me about an owner finance deal. That doesn't really happen. And we were talking earlier, we were talking about how to pay for it. So, proof of if it's a creative financing deal, that's usually where we do it. Very few people want to do the owner finance thing. If you want the owner finance thing, I know I've got a video as well on that. You can watch it. But what I want to talk about next, or does anybody have any questions, or did I forget anything that y'all maybe have seen? I've got turnkeys, burrs, Airbnbs, flips, and house hacks. Has anybody seen another option that I've forgotten or that people get?
Can't really think of anything.
Okay. So let's talk about how to shop for these. Okay. Let's talk about how to shop for these. So when I'm looking for anything, needless to say, I need to find something undervalued. For a burr, this needs to be undervalued. And a flip needs to be undervalued. Okay, those are the 2 of them that I need to find a house that is undervalued. Okay, if it's undervalued, there's a very easy way to go about searching that, guys. Let me see if I can do this. Let's see, stop search. Share my screen. Yeah. All right, can y'all see my screen now?
Yes.
Thank you, Bernice. So I'm going to do this in Sabor. Come on.
Okay, I think I got my mic back on here. And yes,
You're fine. Did you see anything that I forgot on the list of potential investors?
No, I think you covered that.
So I'm going to start with single residential. And what's really interesting, guys, is a lot of people get to this screen and think this is the only stuff they can search by, and it's not. Let's do something with a latent defect, just out of curiosity. Let's just see. All I'm doing is saying, hey, I want everything in the MLS that has a known defect to it. So if it has a known defect, it's probably something wrong with it, right? And that gives us an opportunity to add value. Or not. Come on, computer. That one more time. By the way, guys, I usually take these 2 bottom ones off. Active option means there's an option. This means there's an active offer and they're accepting backups. I usually don't want to see those. Oh, so there is literally 1 property in all of MLS that has said we have a latent defect. So if I'm looking for somebody and I'm like, hey, there's something wrong with this property, I want to know how bad is it, right? So I'm going to go take a look at the property and I want to tell my client. Sold as is. Seller will not turn on utilities for inspection. Water lines are broken under the home. Electrical issues in other home, right? That's a pretty big deal. All right. So, and they're selling it for $130,000. It's been on the market for 27 days. It's been on the market for a month. Guys, there's a million ways to find out if this makes any sense for you. One, you can just run comps. I use Propelio a lot. It's an investor software. Oops, don't need to talk to them. Sorry, that's one of the downsides of me having my screen on. By the way, that was a hard money lender that just called me. Come on, internet. Come on. Why is everything going so slow today? Let's try doing it the other way. Oh, there it goes. So this house is up near Canyon Lake. It's clearly a mobile home. So you need to find somebody that's okay with mobile homes, right? But they're telling you, hey, it's jacked. It is jacked. Let's take a look. Yep, no carpet, no cleaning, right? We got a lot of issues here. Wiring's jacked. Got some aluminum wiring in there, which isn't that big of a deal. Obviously, all the floors need to be replaced. That vanity looks like it could be saved. That's a pretty big deal, right? There's a lot of work going on here, especially if we've got problems below it. So my question is, oh my good God, this thing will hurry up, is how much is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,200 square foot manufactured home gonna sell for? So if they want 130, I'm guessing I'm gonna need a minimum of 50 grand to get into this thing without walking the property. Oh, good God. All right, let's try another way to search this. That has taken forever. All right, so we found our property. Let's just draw a little circle around all of this stuff. And let me just see what is active over there right now. As Propelio is taking its sweet time. All right, so there are a lot of houses that are active. So what you're gonna wanna do, guys, is you're gonna wanna go through here and just run comps. Let's take a look at this one. Mobile home, jacked up, pretty nice. It's listed for 390. Look at that. So the question is what, but this is a double wide. It's obviously a lot bigger. I don't know if anybody's catching on to that. So it's a 1996, 1,300 square feet, 3.2. So it's maybe it is a single wide, but it's selling for $390,000. So how is that different than ours? So 1,200 square feet, it's a little bit bigger. This is a 1/4 acre lot. This one's a 1/2 acre lot. So what you're going to do is you're going to run through there for your client and go, hey, look, if you want a mobile home that, you know, it's already set up, it's already this, you can come through and rehab it. You could scrape it, put a new mobile home on it, whatever you want to do. And you're going to try and help your client get as close to that as they possibly can, and or find a number that makes sense for them. The next thing that you're going to want to do, especially if they're trying to burr it or if they're trying to turnkey it or anything like that, is I want to know what it rents for. That's my next thing. So 1250 Pecan Circle, what does that rent for? Again, if I had Propelio up and running, it'd be so much easier. Oh, it's killing me. Let's try Pecan Street, see if it finds that. Propelio is just a lot easier. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to come over here and do residential rentals. And I'm going to do the exact same thing, except this time I want to know exactly what has rented. So this is all stuff I would provide my client. I'm like, hey, look. I don't know why my space bar is not working. Let's do the same thing. Let's see what's rented around here, right? Let's view the results. All right, so you can see over here, manufactured homes. And there's a lot of stuff that's rented. Oh, wait, I don't think I ever, hold on. This one, you're gonna have to set a timeline. Let's say in the last 6 months. And I'm gonna say something with 3 bedrooms. All right, let's run that. Okay, so there's 500 things with 3 bedrooms that listed out in that circle within the last 6 months. So I can also say, hey, I want to knock it down. Let's see what manufactured homes rent for, right? Here we go. So manufactured homes, guys, depending on where they're at, are anywhere from $1,300. So that's what's renting out there. That's for 3/4 of an acre. So you're going to have to do your homework, and that's not the scope of this. But what you're going to want to provide to your clients, saying, hey, look, this thing needs a lot of work. They're asking 130 for it. I'm seeing some rentals in the area for this amount, which my first thing is telling me this isn't going to work. I mean, here's a one for $2,000. Now, $2,000 it might work, but it's really not your decision unless you're choosing to buy it. It's going to ultimately be your client's decision, right? And this one, it's $2,000 because it's 8 1/3 acres. You know, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's a nicer mobile home. You know, you're going to have to do some homework on that, but it's not a bad thing to find. Other tricks of the trade when it comes to looking for these kind of properties is when you're doing your search, you can do single residential and you can add or remove fields. So one of the things I like to add in here, forgive me because I don't know where it is right off the top of my head. Dining, elementary, energy, is you can have it search through the agent remarks or any of the remarks. So, come on, where is it? Yeah, remarks. So you add remarks over there. When you click OK, all of a sudden remarks is going to show up down here. If you click on hints, it'll tell you you can add parentheses or these, you can do quotes, meaning or whatever. So what you can do is you can put quote, fixer upper, right? Watch this. And it'll tell you invalid character for fixer upper. Maybe you don't have to put quotes on it. I can't remember how to do it. So this will tell you every single property that in the remarks, it's going to say fixer upper somewhere. Investment opportunity, this, and that, DIY, fixer upper. So now I know every single property that is quote unquote a fixer upper, and there's 31 of them in this MLS. So that's how you find properties that are looking for this. You're going to want to cross-reference it against the rentals and then show them. Guys, you can take it a step even further, which is what I do. And I actually run an analysis for them. Be careful with that. I would do that with turnkeys only. And I would show them, hey, look, if you buy this house and it's a turnkey, then, you know, you're going to have rents at this amount. You're going to have taxes, insurance, your mortgage payment should be around here. You know, if you account for vacancy and any repairs, you know, you should be making $200 a month. And a lot of people want to see that. They want to know what their cash on cash return is right out the gate. So that's another great way to look for those. Any questions on how to look up properties that need repair? One of my other favorite ones is fixer upper, and then I also do TLC. Why my space is not working, I have no idea. It's going to screw it up. Probably not going to find anything. But it doesn't really matter. All right, questions, comments, concerns on that one? Phrases that I like to look up, guys: fixer upper, TLC, as is, no repairs, estate sale. I don't know if you saw that, guys. You can actually find those as well, but I would also search the words estate, because if I come in here and I do, where was it? Type, no, it's months back, miscellaneous. Lender owned, corporate owned, estate sale, probate, VA foreclosure, HUD home, those are tricky to buy, but investor potential, right? As is. I mean, guys, there's a myriad of things that you can get through. You just got to find the ones that make sense. The other thing I would suggest to you, whoa, what's going on here? Why am I searching Canada? Here we go. You can also look at your map. Some people really want to buy up in Canyon Lake. Some people really want to buy in Seguin. Some people really want to buy near the Pearl, which I don't see any near the Pearl, but I do see a lot over here in Woodlawn Lake, which is kind of a hot little market. There's one for an active option. Navidad Street. Next thing, guys, is you want to cross-reference it against crime statistics. You can look up neighborhood reports. There's a million things you can do on that. You just want to provide them as much as you possibly can. Turnkeys are a lot easier. Once you kind of identify some areas, you're just going to go through there and you're going to try. What I look for is something that's called a 1% rule when I'm looking for turnkeys. Oh, look, that's a good picture of me. Let me get back to here. There we go. So let's stop the share. And let's go to my whiteboard, which I don't know how to do anymore. Okay, whatever. And whiteboard. Let's go back to that whiteboard. And let's talk about the 1% rule. Has anybody ever heard the 1% rule before?
Yes.
Nobody? Oh, Bernice, you want to tell me what the 1% rule is?
I mean, we're talking about the same rule. Basically, your purchase price, you can rent the house out for 1% of the purchase price monthly.
Correct. That's exactly how I see it too. Now, the 1% rule is not hard and fast, people. It is not hard and fast. If we buy a $200,000 house times 1% equals $2,000. If I know rents in an area are roughly $2,000 and I see a house somewhere around that amount, I might stop and take a look at it. Guys, 1% rule houses are really hard to find right now. You're actually probably going to be getting a 0.8% or a 0.75% rule, which would still actually work out depending on the house and how much repair it needs and all that good stuff. So that's a good way. If you're looking for turnkeys for somebody, you're like, well, turnkey is literally every house out there. Well, yes and no. You're going to want something a little bit cheaper than probably market value, but you don't need any repairs on it. So the 1% rules are usually a good way to get started on that. Flip rules. So we talked about turnkeys. We're looking for 1%. Burrs and flips. We're looking for something that is distressed. We talked about that. And then for a house hack, guys, house hacks are the easiest to me. You're just looking for something that's multifamily. That's usually where I start. You can house hack by just renting out the rooms in the house. That gets problematic. If you got a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, that can get kind of problematic. But normally I just look for duplexes, any kind of multifamily. And to save time with the multifamily, just so everybody can see kind of what's out there, I will show you how I look up multifamilies and what I'm looking for. Because when you have multifamilies, you have to make sure that the leases are in place or not in place or whatever they might be. You want to know what's going on with the lease situation. So all you got to do, guys, is come down here to multifamily, and this will tell you everything that's available. Let's say my Hawaiian guys that are going to be relocated to Fort Sam Houston. Oh, good Lord. What is with this today? Why is it showing us all the way up here? So there's 157 multifamily listings, but my guy needs to be near Fort Sam Houston. Well, look at there. There is one that is like right next to Fort Sam Houston. Oh, I've looked at this thing like 100 times. Okay, so this is a duplex. Very interesting, high ceilings, floors need to be redone. It's kind of on the edge of that Alamo Heights. I think it's an 09, if I'm not even mistaken here. Oh, not that one. Not that one. Let me see if I'm right. Yeah, it's an 09er, 78209. But it does go to San Antonio ISD, but it's super close, like literally from this photo right here, guys. Like if you turn around, you could throw a rock onto Fort Sam. So it's really nice. However, 2-unit duplex, less 5 minutes away from Broward. It has a new roof and siding. One heater was replaced. I don't know what that is recently. Amazing opportunity. Yeah, but this thing's been on the market for, come on, 292 cumulative days. The reason why, guys, is it does need a lot of work, and they're not coming off that price. They need to come off the price. It's too much work. It's mostly on the back side of the house. Like the bathroom seems pretty fine. As you can see here, we need new flooring, new everything. It has this little shed. That's where that washer and dryer was. It's got this really old HVAC. It's floor vented. I mean, there's a lot of work that you would want to do to make this get up and right, but it would be a good fit for somebody if they wanted to do some work on it while they lived there. So that's what I'm looking for house hacks, guys, is I want to know what area they want to live in, what their budget is, and how much they're willing to, if they want to do any rehab or not. One of the nice things is if you want to see something without rehab, I always just start going backwards because these things always populate by price. So the cheapest one's first. So if we go to the most expensive, so it'll be somewhere like number 157 would be the most expensive, $6.5 million. But that's a lot of doors. There's at least 8 of them, which you can see right here. And they're all 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, 3-2. It's a lot of them. It's a New Braunfels. So that's, you can just work your way backwards. I think that makes sense to everybody. All right, so that is kind of my general overview on how to talk to these people and what they're looking for. Does anybody got any questions, comments, concerns on what I've shared so far?
No.
Makes perfect sense.
Nope.
Clear as mud.
Clear as mud.
So those are the guys you're looking for. Those are the main property types, and there's how I search them. And there's no secret to it, guys. There's, Colin, how do you find properties for all these people? I look at properties all day, every day. As a matter of fact, that's what Dave's doing. Dave is helping me out, and he sits there and he looks for properties all day, every day. And anything that's a little bit off or just seems like the price is right, we just push it out. You've got to be ready for it. I have my investors all sliced up by who wants turnkeys, who wants this, who wants that. We've got a big whiteboard in here. So as soon as we see a turnkey that makes sense, we know exactly which 6 people to send it to. Hey guys, here's a turnkey that makes sense. And it's also a good way to look for yourself. Also, the last thing, just because Israel's here, and now I want to show you. Can y'all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
I think it's agents.whiteline.com. I guess I haven't been on it since browser. Nope. Oh, it's whitelinerealty.com. That's what it is. Guys, if you are ever buying a property for yourself or have anything else, you're like, Colin, everything you said in here was amazing. I'm going to go buy my own property using this information. You got to log into the agent page, go to resources, go to important docs. Every single solitary investment property that you buy, I don't care if you're wholesaling it, I don't care what you're doing, you have to have the exhibit alpha, which is right here. What this is, guys, is you're disclosing to people that, hey, I am an investor and I am not representing you, is basically what it says. Colin Corrington holds a Texas real estate license regarding, does not represent any parties in any capacity. You've got to get this signed by everybody. If you're wholesaling it, I want the seller to get it. I want your end buyer to get it. And they all have to sign it. If you're buying your own investment.
You said you'd use this when you wholesale?
Mm-hmm. You have to use, if you buy any investment property for yourself,
okay,
you have to have this. I don't care what it is. If you buy a rental property, have them sign this. If it's on the MLS, usually Section 8 will cover that in the 1 to 4 family contract, but I still want to see this as well. I'm buying an
know you were
MLS
supposed to
property,
do
the
that.
seller's represented. I still want you to come in and go, hey, I'm a licensed agent. I'm buying this and I'm not like, it's a CYA, guys. It
This
is
is
a
the one
CYA.
you were telling me
This is
earlier
the
about,
one.
right? Okay.
Guys, this is important. The reason why most brokers do not like having investors work for them is because they get in trouble. They go in, they see some sweet little old couple that wants to sell their house. They go, I'll give you $12 for it. They say, fine, you sign everything. They move into the nursing home. And then all of a sudden their kids come around and say, you sold your house for $12. It was worth $300,000. And you sold it for $12 and some magic beans. Yeah, you got a hell of a deal, but guess what? They're going to turn you into the Texas Real Estate Commission. They're going to say, hey, Israel is a licensed professional and he understands the San Antonio market and he understands and he took advantage of these people. Like, you can't do that. So you have to disclose that, hey, I am licensed and I'm not representing you. And I read this out loud to people very clearly. So they understand I am not representing you. I'm representing myself. If you need representation, let me know. We will find somebody.
I mean, are you also including this if you are just buying a market that, a house that's on the market, like they have a listing agent and everything?
If they have a listing agent on the other side, I don't typically do this because they have representation.
Yeah.
You're
just saying if you're kind of doing an off-market deal, you found it, you approach the sellers, etc., then you're including this.
I think this is more mainly if you are trying to get a deal off of
when in doubt, fill it out.
Okay.
If you don't, guys, if you turned one of these in for every single deal you do, I still wouldn't be mad.
Okay.
Now, obviously, if you're representing a buyer and the seller's right, if it's a traditional real estate deal, then that's not correct because you do represent a party in a capacity. This little line right here, you do represent somebody. So you would want to fill that out, but it's just way easier to fill this out, guys. IABSs and exhibit alphas all day, every day. I am frustrated by how many times I print these stupid things out.
Okay, cool.
Like when Israel, you caught me earlier when we were first talking, I was finishing up some mailers.
Mm-hmm.
Let me show you. No. Yeah, here we go. So here's the letter that I send out. On the back of it is the IABS.
Ah, gotcha.
Like, I'm not kidding about the IABS, guys. It is everywhere. Like, everybody knows I'm licensed. And the minute they call me, I walk in and say, hey, here's another IABS. Please sign this one for me. You've got a copy of it, but I just need a signed copy. And now I can talk to them about it. And then if they agree to sell me the property, this is the first thing that I have them sign. Hey, I need you to understand. I'm going to buy this property. I can disclose anything I know about it. I intend to purchase it, and I do not represent either person in this transaction, is essentially what this one says. And if you catch anybody that gives you a hard time about it, just say, I completely understand. If you would like representation, I can definitely help you on that. And then give me or Eric a call and we'll figure out a way to help with that transaction if they just don't understand. But guys, this will keep your butt out of the fire, because if they come back and they say, hey, Israel took advantage of me because I'm old and lonely and he only gave me $12, you can come back and say, no, ma'am, I told you that I'm licensed. Here's the IABS that I showed you I was licensed, and here's a separate piece of paper that says I'm licensed. And in Section 8 of the 1-to-4 family contract we filled out, I also disclosed I'm licensed. I disclosed it to you 3 times. You can't cry to me. You knew what was going on. So
got it.
Kind of important on that one.
Well, I guess I was just going to check where exactly did you go on?
Yeah. Let me show you. If you go to agents.whitelinerealty.com and log in,
got it.
You go to resources and important docs.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And all those training videos I was referencing earlier, guys, if you click on this, here's every single one of them.
Okay, perfect.
And somewhere in here, there's 111 more. There's a lot of them. You just got to find where I'm babbling about it. There's playlist in here too, representing the buyer, listing, investing. Here's sub twos, low money down deal. I did that one. I guess it's not on the playlist. Whatever. I'll get it figured out. And then go buy a shirt. Dude, these are pretty awesome shirts. I need more of them. But all right, guys. Well, that's all I got. Any questions before I let you go?
No, all good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you. Appreciate it.
Wonderful. Y'all have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.